name is Howard Oliver. I'm the VP Marketing for CRE Collaborative. Today we have with us my boss, Andreas Senie, who's the co-host of Freed on Tech. He's the CEO of our company, CEO Collaborative, and thought leader in the field, really. We also have David Perlmutter, who's a partner of ours. He's the CEO of Quantum Listing. We have kind of a neat relationship and offer a lot of value between our two companies for brokers and brokerages. So we have a list of questions that we'll be going through. We'll be talking about CRE Tech, who is the most likely broker to adopt CRE Tech, and related use case questions. So without further ado, let me go through the list of questions. First, CRE Tech is well known to the commercial real estate industry. Brokers attend CRE Tech conventions in numbers. There are 6,000 CRE Tech companies out there, and there has been significant investment in the sector. To your perspective, gents, where is CRE Tech right now in serving the industry? What is going well and what is failing to provide value? So what's going on, what's going well, what's not going that well?
Okay, can I go first?
Absolutely.
David Perlmutter here, and thank you, Howard and Andreas, for inviting me to participate in this discussion today. So I've been a commercial real estate broker for over 30 years, and a lot of my career also involved developing shopping centers. And I think where we are today in the commercial real estate tech environment is very similar to where the shopping center industry was, 40 years or so ago. People saw an opportunity, and then they started building to meet the needs. And one of the things that you've seen in the shopping center industry, in spite of all the talk of the retail apocalypse, is a bunch of really bright, creative people who see an opportunity to make a lot of money, who keep on adopting the shopping centers to the world that we live in today. So I think that's happening in the shopping center industry, and I think that's where we are. We're sort of not at the very beginning in the CRE tech world, but we're not too far from the beginning. Hopefully, a lot closer to the beginning than to the end. A lot of companies like CRE Collaborative or Quantum Listing were really started to solve pain points that members of the industry are having. For me, there was pretty much a monopolistic provider of real estate information that kept on charging more and more and more for their services, while not necessarily keeping all their product offerings up to date with what technology could do in today's world. And so that's why I started Quantum Listing, and provide really good value to members of the real estate community, and keep making sure that social media and all the different things that we have available to us now were incorporated into that platform. And so I think what's going well is that we're getting past that initial stage of, oh my God, nobody wants to have another thing to do, to, hey, technology, maybe it can make me close more deals in less time. How do I take advantage of that? And I think that's one of the brilliant things about CRE Collaborative is that their technology, helps all your other technology work together. So you can spend less time doing data entry, less time figuring stuff out, and have it work so that you can spend your time, making those deals, making connections with new people and things like that.
Andreas?
And thank you for that, David. To answer that question full circle as well, the CRE tech space, similar to the shopping centers in the retail era, there was a shift, there was a change. But even Amazon's buying brick and mortar, clearly, and nothing has really changed. There are those taking advantage and communicating more effectively or presenting their brand more effectively, either on the street or across the web, omnichannel marketing. And just as marketing has evolved and retail has evolved, so must the commercial real estate tech space and real estate industry. To David's point, there were one or two big players in this space, technology space for the industry. Now there are over close to 7,000. The focus of CRE Collaborative is actually to connect those technologies to each other and then the users to one another. And in doing that, we've been lucky enough to work with David and Quantum Listing, which is a cutting edge 2.0 listing marketplace, in that it connects and aggregates listings and pushes them out, just as our service connects and aggregates data overall and pushes it where it needs to be. So I think the industry has to do what it's always done, has to shake hands. And now it just also includes digital handshaking between technology. And where
Yeah.
a lot of companies, and I wouldn't say have fallen short, but I would say did not build for the industry, is in the mentality of, um, I'm going to be the one and only. Well, Microsoft took that approach. Then there's Apple and Linux and other operating systems. It's just not realistic to think that you can be the one and only when you're servicing 4.7, 4.9 million real estate professionals across the different roles. So hopefully that helped to answer the question from both sides.
Indeed. Indeed. Next question. We've been talking pretty macro across the industry. Think, if you could, about some specific customers that you have or you might have in common. What would be uh, their personas, to use kind of marketing term? What personas would be most likely to increase the adoption of CRE tech in their research, administration, and sales processes? What would be those kind of people? How long they've been in the business, what their goals are, their attitudes and skills?
And David, I think David and I will agree 100% here. You're talking about brokers. Brokers bring deals. They have the most in it to win it, by advancing what they do and finding new ways to do what they do. David, you've been at it a bit longer than I have, certainly.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, I would agree. I think that it's brokers, and particularly it's sort of the digital natives, the kids who were born with cell phones in their hands are now the young adults that are looking for better ways to do things. Just like, you want to shop online or call, use an app to get dinner or things like that. Uh, People are very comfortable with ordering their life around digital tools at this point. And the older folks like me, look, I've got Uber on my phone. I've ordered from Uber Eats now. Old codgers like me, we're coming around because we realize it's the future. And so I think, you're seeing leadership from the younger generation, but the older generation is beginning to come in as well. And and I'm seeing it now more and more, in you know the national and multinational real estate companies as well as the independents. Uh, Everybody seems to be getting on board now.
Well, I always equate the adoption of technology to being chained to your desk. It used to be that you had a book, and this book came out, at least residentially, and you had to look at that book for all the deals. And commercially, you had to go to a meeting and meet with the other brokers to get all the deals. We'll come back to that, I guess, at a later point. But now with technology, you're no longer bound to that desk. You're out in the field. Why? Because they invented the cell phone, and a cell phone meant you could work from anywhere, and it means we work all the time.
Yeah.
So, and with that, the introduction of certain social medias and things have kind of forced what I would say the most technically adverse real estate professionals onto their phone, Facebook, interacting with their families, or just taking phone calls out in the field. Whereas they would never dream of using any of our technologies before, but now because they're out there using it in their day to day lives elsewhere, all of a sudden it's gotten to a point where it's like, well, I can do that. Better yet, why is Broker Joe taking my business when he's newer, greener, and has much less resources behind him, or at least in theory? Well, maybe he's got a new piece of technology. Maybe he's doing this differently. And the answer is he is. And so now those companies are saying, well, wait a minute, we're gonna stay at the top of our kingdom here, and let's see what we can do. Let's adopt coming into it. And I do love that term, technical natives. We
Digital
still
natives.
digital natives. We still know where
Digital
a
native.
library is and how a library, keeps books in it on it. From my
That's right. Focusing on those digital natives, the millennials that are out there in the business and wanting to make money. What are their pain points? What would get them to move from inaction to action, to adopt CRE Tech?
David, you have to take that one in with a mobile app first platform.
I mean, it's well, I think what's going to move into action is losing business to people who have adopted the technology. When we started Quantum Listing, it was as a iOS app, and one of the points that we would sort of sell people on was that you can come from a meeting with a landlord, or still in the meeting with a landlord, get his listing online and start marketing it within seconds, because you can enter, take a picture with your smartphone, enter the data about the listing on your smartphone into Quantum Listing, and hit save, and you're ready to go. So I think having that, the immediacy is really super helpful to a lot of people, because uh, one of the things I learned in the first day of my broker's class was, our time is our stock in trade. That has not changed. Nobody has ever figured out a way to give you more time. They've figured out ways to do things in less time, which is helpful. And I think that is what drives productivity, being able to do the things you have to do and do it more efficiently. And when people want to close more deals, make more money, they're going to look to these different technologies to help them do that.
Just to add on to that, the speed of execution, of course, actionable insights that we're seeing now is CRE Collaborative. We aggregate data, we make it available across multiple sources, so you can act on it. So you can push it with Quantum, push it up, but then push it out, and then get it to your CRM and save you time. But then it's your breadth of action. How far and wide can you move into new markets? Because what is in my mind always been true, it's the first mover advantage for a professional to identify an opportunity and then to actually go after it. How do I then get it approved? How do I find the buyer? How do I get the right attorney or the right things in place to lock that property up? And technology helps you do that, even if you're not a seasoned veteran in a certain area, but you've now uncovered a deal there through many of the different platforms. You now have to jump into action. And that's where quantum listing will help identify deals, where CRECo can also help identify persons or technologies or even underwriting. And these are all things that people are looking for. And as we grow or continue to grow, there's more and more of them looking for it on their cell phone, not on their laptop.
Next question. And we've covered this question somewhat, but perhaps there's outstanding points. How do quantum listing and CRE Collaborative uniquely meet the needs of those digital natives that want to rise to the top in their area? The needs, the wants. What's unique about the combined offerings?
Andreas, you want to go first?
Sure. Our shared value proposition is simple. It's speed of execution, to hit that on the head, breadth and width of execution distribution, and ease of use. To upload to David's software is as simple as uploading a PDF. From there, through connectivity engines, it can be in CRE Collaborative, and then we can connect it to everything else. So it's about simple, affordable, and well supported for us. David, how would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I know. I think that you answered that pretty well. One of the things that is nice about how we work together and our philosophies is that you don't have to buy. This isn't a one size fits all offering that we're giving. We give you a lot of choices so that you can make it into what you want it to be, so that it fits your work style, your workflow, and your budget. You don't need to just take what is being jammed down your throat by a big public company. We give you a lot of optionality. There are times of the year you want to spend money on and there are listings that you want to spend money on because the payoff is big relative to some of the other deals. And our technologies give you the freedom to control that budget for those things, so that you're not hitting a pin with a sledgehammer. You really can sort of make it appropriate to what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
There's a term. Well, there's a statement of a difference in IT where you used to have to build to service. So you had to buy a warehouse to host a technology, and you had to have enough computers in it to run that technology. Today, we're on a consumption model. Everything's in the cloud, where everything scales up based on demand and need, and scales down. You're trimming the waste at the same time maximizing the fat that you're after on a case by case basis. And that's where David, Quantum Listing, CRECo allow you to really excel, because this is what you need when you need it. How do you get there? Oh, click here, done. And that's incredibly powerful. You're not locked into tremendous expense for services you may or may not need. You're scaling up and you're scaling down. It works for Amazon. It works for Google. It works for any of the other industries out there, and it's a core focus of mine, and I think of David's as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been going through this process where I'm moving my office, and so it's been a great opportunity to re-examine the way we've done things in my brokerage business for quite some time. And before we had a phone service that was connected to the internet, and the cable is all in one. I won't name names, but and now I just switched to Ring Central, and to get basically the phone service component, I'm spending a fraction of what I had to spend before with the cable company. And it's just like eye-opening to see that there are ways of doing business that are modern and don't and rethink the ways that things are done. I think Google sort of got this started by making so many of their services free. Obviously, they're subsidized by advertising. We all can't be Google and have advertising pay for everything we do, but there are other ways that things can be done thanks to the world of technology, and we all owe it to ourselves to do an audit of our practices in every area, and that includes how you're conducting your day-to-day commercial real estate practice.
Great. Next question. We've been talking about individual brokers, but let's talk about especially small and medium-sized brokerages. Do you have any standout examples of how CRE Tech is has been adopted in one of those companies, changing around longstanding work processes, perhaps done by the principal, used by the principal for 30 years quite successfully?
What I'm seeing now is that I think everybody had got religion at the and last year, and this year they're learning all the prayers because uh, what I'm seeing is, you know, big nationals and the franchises and some of the medium-sized nationals, they're all beginning to pick up the phone to say, you know, how do I get an API into your system now? And I don't want to name names because they're not, signed deals, but it's really exciting for me because uh, the things that we've been preaching for the last 5 years are now beginning to resonate with the congregation. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I'm very excited.
So, and I think that's exactly right. From at every level, we've reached a tipping point where it's not possibility, but it's inevitability of adoption, as shown by the money being invested into the space. It's not just fringe investment from capital groups, but now you've got the leading real estate companies in the U.S., in the world, building and buying into technology themselves to not miss out. The big box programs or big box services that dominated the industry aren't doing that anymore. You can find more effective, and David, you were talking about Ring Central, and what you didn't say, and I think it's important to note, is you're paying less, but is the call quality as good or if not better?
It's at least as good. This is really day one of my using it, so I'll have to get back to you on that. But I can tell you, I can do it on my phone. I can use it on my
A-
computer. It's incredible.
And that's my point. It's not You're not sacrificing anything at less cost. You're gaining advantage, and that's what everybody is realizing. Now, part and parcel, the smaller firms or hungrier firms are a little more flexible than some of the bigger houses, and I think that we're seeing more of them readily willing to adopt. Whereas the larger firms now coming, to you, David, and others with these API feeds, is just showing how far that adoption has grown. These accelerators, all looking for what's next and how to be a part of it.
How interesting. What's the role of the real estate associations, the national and regional ones, in helping brokers and agencies adopt CRE tech? Are they doing a good job? Could they do better? What do you think?
As a card carrying member of NAR for 15 years, Um, I would say the association has done a great job in their core mandates, depending on which one you belong to. There are many, over 300 that I look to. They lead, they educate, they help regulations. Some, and without naming any particulars, have done a great job in starting to institute ways to advise on technology. But remember, this is very new to a lot of the industry. So even understanding the needs of their members, which is what associations do, they understand the needs of the members and then they provide value in most cases, above and beyond the networking and the other tools, is green. So in that, we're seeing a shift.
And the National Association of Realtors has a real estate technology incubator. The Real Estate Board
Right.
of New York has something similar that they're working with.
Has done incredible things. The Reach Accelerator program by Second Century Ventures over at NAR. Miami was one of the first adopters of tech, really promoting tech out to their industry. CCIM has the CCIM Technology Group. So everyone's figured out how to do it. They're not sure what it is, but we're all in agreement. It is inclusive of listing platforms. It is inclusive of transaction management, pipeline management, something to handle your data, because the core competencies that the technology are going to assist in are all understood. less about revolution and more about, to David's earlier point, speed of execution.
Mhm. Um, this is a broad question, perhaps deserving of another conversation, but how would a broker launch a regional campaign with your two respective companies? What are the onboarding, planning, and execution points? How do you
I'm,
onboard and then get them going?
so I'm going to pass that to David as the listing portal,
Yeah.
and then
So there are a few different ways that somebody can get started with quantum listing. Uh, if you are a subscriber to Build Out or Sharp Launch, those listings can be syndicated through those marketing services to our site. So that is, one way that it can happen. Second is uh, you can enter your listings yourself, and it's a really simple process. As a digital first, as a mobile first uh, company, we when we started the website, we made sure that the same principles of ease and uh, simplicity of entering your data uh, was carried over to the website. So you can do that yourself, and then if you uh, don't want to spend the time adding your data, you can use our white glove service, uh, which will add the listings for you. So that is how you get started. And once your data is in there, if you wanted to use us to do email blasts for you, we have a new email blast service that we've launched, and you can also upload your own Excel sheet and email your individual listings to uh, your own proprietary list, which remains your proprietary list. We do not, take that for our own purposes. So
so in line with that statement about data and own purposes, what happens to your question, Howard, about how it regionally works together is the broker then inputs some information. That information then working goes to CRECo, where CRECo AI then helps fill in blanks, providing a richer experience back at the quantum listing platform while keeping that ease of use in place, that simple interface. And then we also provide additional outlets of technology or pathways to other functionality. So wherein David has Google AdWords, has the email broadcast tool, we also connect to a CRM system. We also are building in a full bore analytics engine for social media. Not our core products, again, because we're just a connectivity engine, but we help then bring you to those next steps with as little friction as possible, so that regional campaign can become effective out across both your website, where David's platform will actually hold the listings, if I recall,
yeah,
or post the listings, including social media, where we both have tools for single touch sharing out across your private network and then out across our networks. Whereas CRE Collaborative's got 27 million properties being indexed, and the layering of data continuing to grow to the benefit of investors, developers, brokers, lenders, and service professionals. David's listing portal has brokers, investors specifically. So it's about audience, destination, and distribution, and that's how you get that regional play. Although in our mind, it's getting to that one guy, the person who will buy or sell, right?
I believe, Andreas, you've answered the next question, but I'll repeat it and see what else pops up. How does CRE Collaborative help quantum listing? Can you describe how CRECo capability in terms of data enhancements enriches quantum listing data, helping to fill in the blanks to provide a richer user experience on the quantum listing platform?
Certainly. So CRE Collaborative provides data augmentation and data enhancement services. Specific to one of the ways that David and our platforms work together, is we have a symbiotic relationship for our listings in our deal marketplaces on behalf of our users. So wherein we have data points that a user may not know offhand, let's say a parcel number They enter it into David's platform through that online mobile app in the office with the owner, and they're getting ready to market it. The system can then talk over to our system and say, "Hey, are these the other details I'm missing?" Once that data is harmonized or standardized, it's then available in both places for easier deliverability and consumption by the industry. And that's a B2B service we offer to technology companies: data enhancement, data standardization. David, would you care to add on your end?
Uh,
Did I cover it?
I think you pretty much covered that, and it's really exciting the way that we can offer these services that sort of, you know, I guess they're a catalyst for each other because you're providing information we don't have, we're providing
Information we don't have.
you don't have, and together it's a beautiful thing.
Indeed. And you guys did a beautiful job. We covered a lot of ground in this conversation, and really thank you very much. And we look forward to further conversation.